Hello everyone, how are you guys doing? I hope you're all doing amazing. Welcome to another video. Today our problem is jump game. In this problem, you want to check whether you can reach the last index of your element or not, given the fact that you will initially be positioned at the 0th index and each index of the array represents how many jumps can you make from that particular index. So what is the maximum jump length you can make from that index or and you want to check whether you can reach the final index or not. So let's take an example to get familiar with the problem a little bit more, and then we'll take it to the whiteboard to understand how we can solve it. So let's take in this example 23114 where your solution is true. Now why that might be the case? Well, when you're initially positioned at 0 and you want to check whether you can reach the final index or not, you can see that your maximum jump potential from the 0th index is 2. So you can either reach to the first index or you can directly reach the second index. And no matter what path you chose, in this case, you will be able to reach the final index, because if you chose the first path, you will be able to take a jump of 3 and you will be at the final index, or you will take a jump of 1 from here, you will reach the fourth index, and then from there you will reach the fifth index. So that's your problem, and you don't care about the path you take in this particular problem. You just want to see whether any path exists that will lead us to the final index. And in the second case, we can see we will not be able to arrive at the last index, because no matter what jump we make in the first three indices, we will always end up in the fourth index, and that index has a jump potential of 0, and we'll never be able to reach our last index from here. So let's take it to the whiteboard and quickly try to understand the solution. I think the solution, this particular problem is much simpler from the previous problems we have done in this channel, and you should be able to cover it pretty quickly. So you're given this array 23114, and you finally want to return true, which means that you can reach the final index of that array. Now, how can we go about solving this? Now, let's first try to understand what does each index actually represent. What information is it giving to us in regards to knowing whether we can reach the final index or not? Well, whenever you are positioned at any ith index, that value of that index tells you how much forward can you reach, how much forward can you maximum reach. So what is the maximum reach of your array from that particular index? Because you can make any jumps from here, you can take any path. So all of these three options are available to you in this case, because the value of that particular index is 3. So whenever you are at the ith index in the array, the value of that ith index tells you what is your maximum index you can reach from there. So if you want to represent it in a bit formulatic way, it will be something like your index plus your, this is just index, I don't know, it looks like a multiply sign but it's not, and your nums index at this index is the actual value you can reach from any given index. And if this value is greater than your I, which like your len array -1 greater than equal to, then you know for sure that you can reach your final index. But how do we check if we can even reach the index or not? So in this particular case, for example, when you are at the third index, you know from this index you can always reach the len array -1 value, because your value is greater than equal to your len array -1. So you can reach your final index from here. But how do we know if we can even reach the ith position or not? So to check that, we need to see that from the initial start, from our 0th index, is it possible to reach this ith index? So it's more of a sub problem in that sense, and you want to maintain what indexes can you reach at each point of your array, and you want to finally check whether in any case your maximum reachable potential is greater than equal to your len array -1, and if that's the case, that's your solution. Your solution is true. But if it happens that you reach an index that is not reachable at all, that is ahead of your maximum potential, you know that you can never reach that index and you will never be able to make it to your last index in that case. So you want to return false. So those are your two cases. I hope that explanation made sense. I think the code will make much more sense. So let's try to code it up and see what we actually mean by all of these different arrows. So initially you want to have a max reachable variable which will keep updating as we traverse the array, and we want to see what is the maximum potential we can reach while we are traversing the array at each index. So we want to traverse the array. So we'll start at the 0th value as we have been till now. We want to go till we are at the len nums. If only I can type. And we want to keep incrementing by 1. And in each case, we want to check that if our index, that particular index, is greater than our max reachable, then we know for sure that we can never reach that index at all and we want to return false. So we can just early return here and say that we can never reach our final value, our final index. And if that's not the case, we want to go on iterating the array and we want to keep updating our max reachable, which is the max value among our max reachable value and our index plus nums index value. So we want to check that if our max reachable, or we can check it the other way around, if I plus nums I is greater than max reachable, we just want to replace our max reachable to be I plus nums I. And that should be it. So you're basically maintaining two things. And if that's the case, if you're able to traverse the whole array, you can just say return true because you never returned early. So you were able to reach all of the indexes inside of your array. Now all of these indexes include your last index. So we really don't need to worry about returning the true and checking if our max reachable is greater than equal to nums or length nums minus 1 because we know that if that would have been the case, if our array would have been not reachable at any particular index, this would have returned early. So I think the code makes sense. So let's try to run this just for the sanity check for it. Cool. So the solution is accepted. I hope you understand the problem. It's very simple from considering the previous problems we have done. And yeah, it's just using a single variable and trying to maintain a state in some sense where we maintain like what is the maximum reachable potential at each step. And we want to keep keep a check that if is this step is even possible considering the max jump potential. So in some sense, it's just maintaining a state and checking at each iteration whether this iteration is even possible given our particular potential jump state, and we want to return according to that. And if we have gone through all of the indexes of the array and we have never seen a condition where our index is greater than our max reachable, we know that we will be able to reach our final index for sure because we are traversing till the last value. So that's it. It's a very simple problem. I didn't want to make the video too long for it, and that's why I wanted to keep it short and simple. And I hope the arrows here made sense. So yeah, that's all for this video. Let's try to submit it before closing it down. Cool. So we beat 100% in runtime and we beat 55% in memory. And we are only using a constant memory again, a single variable. We can't do any better than that. So that's the solution for you. I hope you enjoyed the video. See you next time. Bye bye.